Welcome back to the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. So, David Benavidez versus Demetrius Andrade, they got the opportunity to go face-to-face today in their initial press conference. And some interesting things came out of that. Number one, there were a lot of fuck Canelos in that interview or in that press conference, which was, I guess, understandable. But not only that, they got the opportunity to go face-to-face. And David Benavidez says that he noticed something. And what he noticed was fear in Demetrius Andrade, which I thought was very interesting. Now, we know that, fighters are going to give off different energy, and how that other fighter interprets that energy could be correct or incorrect. A few months ago, we saw Terrence Crawford in the initial press conference with Errol Spence, and he also appeared to be nervous, but he performed at a high level during the fight. So just because you appear to be nervous doesn't necessarily mean anything. Now, prior to this video, I tried to find some initial press conferences or other press conferences that Demetrius Andrade have been involved with. I haven't seen anything that was substantial, but just based off of everything that I've seen from Demetrius Andrade in terms of his personality and just seeing him in different interviews, it would not surprise me if that's just his overall personality, that kind of easygoing, laid back kind of personality where you're, buy the pay-per-view, the pay-per-view, the pay-per-view. Maybe that's just his personality. But I can easily see how someone would interpret that as fear because it seems a little bit off keel. You know what I mean? In terms of how you would respond to some of those questions that were being asked to Demetrius Andrade. Sometimes when you get to a situation like this, the fight is just a little bit too big for you. But I don't think that's the case for Demetrius Andrade. I think he's going to settle into these press conferences because, of course, he hadn't been a part of fights this big. He was over there with Matchroom and DAZN and fighting guys that were not necessarily high-profile names. But I think he will settle in just fine. So, Jay, what's your thoughts on that? David Benavidez feels that, there's a level of fear there. But not only that, I kind of want to address also in this video the comments from Timothy Bradley in terms of what can Demetrius Andrade exploit in a fight with David Benavidez. But starting off with what David saw in the opening press conference, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think Andrade was showing any type of fear. Andrade is he clowns around a lot. He jokes around, he was talking about, it's me again. It's me again. That was his thing beforehand. Now, by the pay-per-view, stuff like that. I think he knows this is his chance at pay-per-view. He wants to try to get a big sell. And after seeing how the Canelo, Jermell Charlo whole presser went, he's trying to be more animated, I think, and trying to make sure they get more sales. Not necessarily more sales in that fight because Canelo's going to outsell both of them anyway, but just to get enough where it's substantial, where it's like he can say, I'm a pay-per-view star and I need to be on pay-per-view from here on out. I don't need to go back to regular TV. So I didn't really see anything with that. I saw him trying to be funny. I saw him trying to jab a little bit at David and him a little bit. And I noticed he never said that, because BC was trying to press him. He was trying to like, hey, so what's going to happen at the end of the night? So, it's just going to be two great fights. Now it's his chance to be like, end of the night is going, my hand's going to be raised, and I'm going to fight for the undisputed next. But he never went that route. So that might be his personality as well. I don't remember seeing him in other fights or pressers where he was just talking noise, where he say he's just going to dominate him, anything like that. I think the whole F Canelo was deserving to say, because Canelo tried to really deem him as a horrible fighter, tried to put him out there, and people ran with that. Although he was Canelo's mentor for a long time, just like David Benavidez was Canelo's mentor for a long time, a number one contender for a long time. So I see why he said that. That's a jab over there, but at the same time, you don't want to really talk about too much of another fighter when, that's the ultimate goal to fight him, because that's a huge payday and that's for undisputed. But you got this man over here in front of you. That should be your focus. That should be everything you're talking about right there. I like the way David was. David seems focused, more focused to me than Andre, but I don't think Andre is scared. I just think this is new to him. Like you said, he was on Matchroom and DAZN and all that stuff there. He was on an earlier pay-per-view this year. He was on undercard of a Tank fight, right? When Tank fought,
I don't recall. Maybe
Hector Garcia in January. I want to say that was the one on that one as well. So I think it's going to be a good fight, but I think he'll settle in. I think the next one he's going to probably throw more jabs, because another interview later on was with David. David was like, yes, David, like, you gotta, Andre's a little bit of shit talk. He's like, well, he ain't talking no shit to me today. but I give it back to him. At the end of the day, he got faced me in that ring. So I think the closer we get to the fight, the more anime I think both fighters going to get. I think it's actually going to be a good little banter between the two.
Yeah, they mentioned that to Demetrius Andrade as well. That and he kind of started. I don't even know what he was doing. Something where he was almost looking at a book in his hand. He was saying, "What am I? I'm going to go here. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say," and he was like basically saying that David Benavidez wasn't saying much either. But if he chose to talk trash to him, he would. And you are correct. He was on the undercard of the Gervonta Davis fight back in January. But as far as Andrade is concerned and the way that he was answering BC, I always like for a fighter to basically say, "I'm going to win the fight." And it's like he seemed hesitant or reticent to actually to say, "I'm going to win the fight." So that's always very concerning to me. But I personally think it's more so his personality and less about being necessarily scared of David Benavidez. Maybe just new to the moment and trying to figure out a way to sell himself as a pay-per-view fighter. So I don't necessarily have an issue with that. But it's going to be interesting. Now, as far as Tim Bradley is concerned, I just want to address that very quickly. Tim Bradley mentioning that David Benavidez has basically terrible footwork. And I mean, Jay, this is just my thought on this, and people in the comment section may disagree, but you got a specific style, a specific Mexican style where it's basically stalk till you can't walk. And those guys are not going to show being fleet-footed, if you will, right? Those fighters are not fleet-footed fighters. So I think David Benavidez's footwork is good enough for his style that he tries to implement in the ring. And I don't necessarily say, I mean, every fighter has a flaw or a particular style that they could be susceptible to. It is what it is. But Tim Bradley, boy, he loves to be critical of certain fighters and then boast other fighters that have, specific styles. And, those specific styles don't always win. They really don't. So, Jay, what's your thoughts on Tim Bradley's comment about David Benavidez? And he didn't say, at least I didn't see where he said that he was going to actually, Demetrius Andrade was going to win. It's just that, these are areas where he can take advantage of. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be areas, if you actually look and break it down, where David Benavidez will be able to take advantage of Demetrius Andrade. But what's your thoughts on Tim Bradley's comments?
Perfect. Yeah, I think Tim Bradley just being Tim Bradley. I mean, I know he was high on Andrade a while back and everything like that. So that might be why he's going, put a little extra salt on David Benavidez. But, this is straight out Tim Bradley's playbook. He always does the same corny shit and everything. It's always, like you said, certain fighters on a certain promotional company that he's always doing that too. That he doesn't have any respect for it at all for the most part, the way he talks about some fighters on there. So no, I'm not surprised. I'm actually surprised it wasn't worse. But I think we give it time, Tim he'll come up with some more BS to come out and start saying over and over again. Just Bradley just being Bradley, man.
Absolutely. You guys tell us what you think in the comment section in regards to the initial press conference between David Benavidez and Demetrius Andrade. Who won? David Benavidez feels like he won because he believes he saw fear, but maybe Demetrius Andrade won because he had the opportunity to showcase his personality in hopes of becoming a pay-per-view fighter. Let us know what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to hate, like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Angry Man Podcast, AM Sports Media, and we are